Welcome back to Make It Mondays. So I do have some longer projects going right now, but those videos aren't quite ready yet because the projects aren't quite done, and I don't want to drag them out like I did with the sweater. So instead, I'm going to work on a hip bag. So not quite a fanny pack, but same general idea out of this. So this is 100% cotton yarn, which means it's washable, it's durable, and it also happens to be in grays and blacks and whites, which is kind of my color palette when I am working on stuff for me. I do also have very similar yarn in a purple, so I might end up making two, don't know yet. This entire project is going to be made on double pointed needles. So, and as most of you are aware, I use these little shorty guys. So they are only 6 inches long. They are intended to make socks. I do not use them to make socks. I use them to make stuffed animals and small circumference bags. So the goal is to have something that I can slip on over a wide belt so that when I go out and about, hopefully at some point back to Disneyland, or just when I'm walking around a theater, when we can finally have theater again, I can have something on me so that when I'm waiting, I can work on a small project. So the bag's going to be 12 inches around, which sounds really big, but remember that that is the circumference of the bag. So the diameter of the bag is only about 4 inches. And it's going to be in the same lacework pattern that my sweater was in. So I'm not going to show you guys how that pattern looks until we get a bit into this, but I will work the flap and I will start building the body. So this is going to be worked from the top down. So I'm going to work the flap and the body, incorporating a button at the right point so it can shut. I personally don't like zippers on my project bags if I can avoid it, because zippers and yarn do not mix. Both in attaching the zipper to the project and in yarn getting stuck in the project bag at the end. So I will be back probably after I get the button attached, just to show you guys how it's working. And from that point I will just continue down and work the bottom and it will be done. So maybe this is a shorty project, maybe this will only take me maybe a week. My time has gotten more limited, so my project lengths have gotten a lot longer. Oh well. So I will be back in a bit when I can show you how that looks. So it is the next day and I finished the flap, the buttonhole, and the first part of the bag, including putting the button on. So it is a shank button. I don't know if I can hold it in such a way that that's obvious, but it's a shank button, and I do put a stitch through the button so that it's less likely to come off. But it does mean that I can close the bag, have things not fall out of it or get pulled out of it as easily while I'm working. Now I'm going to work on the rest of the bag, so I'm going to keep working down, and it's going to be deep enough to hold a cotton cake of yarn, so at least that big plus a bit for the project. So probably at least twice, if not 3 times its current size. Then I'll make the bottom, and then I will work on the belt loop. So I will come back right before I work on the belt loop to show you how it's looking at that point. So be back in a bit. So here is the finished bag. So it has a circular bottom. It has its button in place. And it has its flap. So all that's left now is how the bag attaches to me. And what I'm wanting to do is to put on a belt loop about here that will be wide enough to go over my widest fashion belt, which I believe is 2 inches wide. And so I will use a little bit more the same yarn. I'm going to do a different stitch though, one that's a little less flexible. It's called linen stitch. So it's knit one, slip one all the way across, and then you knit the ones that you slipped and slip the ones that you knit on the row back. So I'm going to do that for a nice sturdy belt loop. And after that, this should be all the way done, and I'll show you how it looks when it's finished. And here it is, the final bag. So there's a ball of yarn on the bottom just to show you how it hangs. And this is on the belt that it was made for. So it's a nice wide belt loop on a stretchy belt that will go over any article of clothing that I have, at least the foundation layer, so not like the coat or anything. So it works pretty well. I've used it a couple times. It is harder with a ball of yarn versus a cake. For those of you who don't know the difference, a cake is a kind of cylinder that you pull from the center, and a ball of yarn is what we're all used to seeing. But that is it for this episode, and I will see you next time on Make It Mondays.